You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all.
Hey Nick, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on today and share your story with us.
Of course.
So you are type 1 diabetic.
I am.
How long ago were you diagnosed?
I found out 7 years ago on my birthday. Happy birthday.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
January 3rd, I found out. I'm going on eight years now. So 8 years, and January 3rd next year will be 8 years. And it's changed my life, that's for sure.
So I'm guessing you spent your birthday in hospital?
I spent most of the day. They wanted to keep me longer, but I was like, no, I just want to go get some food. That's all I did. My my roommate took me. I went in. My blood sugar was over 800, and they thought I was type 2 at first. And they put me on like metformin and stuff, and then they sent me on my way. And I just went and got some food, and my roommate paid for dinner and treated me, and it was cool. But definitely changed my life after that. That was the last time I had a cake for a while.
So how did you end up in hospital? Did you took yourself there because you felt unwell, or what was happening?
Yeah, so I woke up that morning and I took a protein shake, and I started like my hands were just trembling, and I started stuttering, and I couldn't see the clock on the wall. Like it was blurry. And so I called my mom, and she was like, you need to go to the hospital. And I went. My roommate took me, and they're checking my sugar, and it didn't read on the thing, and I guess their meters stopped at 800, and so I guess my blood sugar was over 800 then.
So had you been feeling ill for a while, or did you just wake up that day and?
No, I was feeling ill for, I want to say close to like a month. Like I was constantly urinating, and I was super thirsty. I couldn't get hydrated. I took a trip to Ohio with my uncle, and he's a type 2 diabetic, and he was like, you need to go get checked. He noticed some of the signs, because I was like filling up Gatorade bottles. I would just down them, that water, Gatorade, and he was like, I'm tired of pulling over. He was like, you're going to have to pee in those bottles. We're not stopping, because we're on our way to Ohio. So it was just, yeah, my sugars were through the roof. And now I know, like, when my sugars are high, if I'm constantly urinating, then that's a sign. So.
Yeah, I remember that feeling. And people don't get it, do they? If you say like, oh, I was so thirsty, they just think, well, that's not that bad. Like, it's unreal, isn't it? It's
super dry. It's not fun.
I can remember like lining up pints and pints and pints of like juice and water and stuff at night, like on the bedside table. Yeah. But it would all be gone by the time I went to sleep. I just couldn't stop drinking.
I'm notorious for water bottles. I'll just have a bunch on my windowsill by my bed and drink them, and then just like water bottles all around my room. People don't get it.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your life before your diagnosis?
Yeah, I guess. What do you want to know?
What was your lifestyle like? Were you leading quite a healthy lifestyle? Were you?
I guess I've always tried to live a kind of decent lifestyle, but the way I grew up was kind of tough. I didn't have a stable family. I just found out who my dad was last year. My mother has always been a drug addict, so she hasn't really been there. So growing up was tough. And then I joined the military when I hit 18, 19. I joined the military. Did that for a few years, and then I got out. I was kind of lost in life, but I actually drank a lot, and diabetes hit, and then it was like game changer. Like, you can't do this. You can't live like this anymore. You got to change your life, or else you're gonna die. And I value my life. I really do. I try to take care of myself. So I completely quit drinking when I found out I had diabetes. I quit smoking, and it's a full-time job, so
yeah.
I just try to take care of my health now. But yeah, I'm still the same. I've always loved being outdoors and fishing and motorcycles, and stuff like that. But now I have more time to focus on my health. Like that comes first, because if I don't focus on my health, then what good am I to anybody else? I don't have a working pancreas, but I do it right.
So when you got your diagnosis, did you know anything about diabetes? Like when they said diabetes, did you have any like preconceived ideas about what that meant? Or
I had no clue at all. No clue whatsoever. They were like, they thought it was type 2 at first. And I had no clue because nobody in my family really had any, clue about diabetes other than my uncle. And so it was a game changer. That was for it. It was tough. But yeah.
So they thought you were type 2, then obviously I'm guessing the medication didn't work and your blood sugars were still high.
Yeah, they put me on metformin for a while, and I guess maybe I was in the honeymoon phase, so maybe it kind of worked for a little bit, but you could tell that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and I lost a lot of weight. Like I've always been a pretty skinny guy. I weigh 163 now, but I've always weighed like 145 when I found out, or 150.
You're talking in pounds, yeah?
Yeah, in pounds. In pounds. Yeah, so I definitely lost a lot of weight, and because my sugars were through the roof, so I was just peeing everything out and just dropping in weight. So once they put me on I'm sorry, they put me on the pump like a year afterwards. I was doing shots for a while because after they took me off the metformin, because that just wasn't working. So
how did you get on with doing injections? Did that bother you?
Not really. I have a lot of tattoos. So needles weren't too big of a thing for me, and it's you kind of got to do it if you want to live. Yeah. So yeah, it didn't bug me too much.
But so was it your choice to go onto a pump, or did they suggest that might work better for you?
Well, they put me on the pens and the shots for like the first year, and then to get the insulin pump, I had to make sure my numbers were like good. And on top of it, for a while, I had to send them logs and everything, because they're not just going to give you an insulin pump over here. They got to make sure you're going to take care of yourself first before they'll give you the insulin pump. And so I got on a Medtronic's Rebel, was my first pump. And then I went to the Medtronic 630. And then now I just got the Tandem X, or the T-Slim X2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you've always had the CGM with that?
So I have the G6 now, but I had the Medtronic's Guardian, but it never worked for me. Like that one, it just was never accurate. So I just never even bothered with it. And it sucks having to wear like two things on your body and being like a skinny guy. To me, it's hard to find like spots to put stuff, but the G6 is really accurate, so I don't mind wearing it. It's actually a godsend.
Yeah. I know the CGMs are really hard to get hold of in the UK. I mean, you can fund them yourself, but to actually get them funded is quite a mission.
And they're not cheap.
No,
they're not cheap at all. No. So I feel bad every time I waste one. I just put one on 2 days ago. I put one on my arm for the first time, and I went to the gym and I walked by a weight and it ripped right off. Aww. So I'm gonna call Dexcom, see if I can't get that replaced.
Yeah, are they quite good over there replacing them?
Yeah, most of the time, like I've only had to call them once. Most of my medicine comes from the VA because I'm a veteran, so they usually handle it. But if it's in a time period where I can't re-up for prescription and I do mess one up, I'll call Dexcom. And they've replaced it last time, and from what I hear, like stories, they usually try to replace it. They're usually pretty good.
So you say it was a real game changer for you when you were diagnosed. So what lifestyle changes did you make, or did you have to make?
So I guess I was drinking a lot at the time I found out. That had to go. That I'm glad I quit. I'm 33 years old, and I found out in my my mid-20s that I was a diabetic, and I feel like a lot of people drink. Most of my friends still drink. And it's hard to quit drinking and changing that lifestyle, because you lose a lot of friends. Like I did. I lost a lot of friends just because they wanted to continue to drink and I didn't. And so I quit drinking, I quit smoking. I've always worked out, but I try to work out a lot harder now. But diabetes weighs on your body, it weighs on your mind, it weighs, especially if you let it run, crazy. It's gonna tear your body apart. High blood sugars will kill you over time, and low blood sugars can kill you instantly. So, like I said, game changer, it definitely is.
Yeah. It's really good that you obviously took it so seriously. I think some people, it takes a lot longer. A lot of diabetes denial, people go into burnout, and it can take, it takes some people months or years to really get to grips with it and say, this is serious, I've got to look after myself. So, it's lucky that you kind of took it all on board and sorted things out.
I had a friend growing up, she was diabetic, and I guess I want to say maybe my teenage years, I found out she was diabetic. And she continued to drink, just continued to party. And then I found out I was diabetic, and seeing what it did to her body, I don't want that to do it to mine. So I really changed my lifestyle.
Yeah. Alcohol and diabetes don't tend to get on.
No, not at all. It's like you get so drunk and you black out and your sugars get high, and you don't remember to take insulin when you're drinking. So it just doesn't mix for me.
What has been, would you say, your biggest challenge with diabetes? What's been the most challenging part?
Ooh, sleep. Oh, sleep is the worst. Like I'm high strung. I have ADHD, so that's why you see me over here rocking in this chair. Like I can never sit still. But the sleep is the hard part. If your sugars aren't right, it's going to mess up your sleep. Like I toss and turn, and diabetes will make your body hurt sometimes. So it's just like, you try to lay there and you're just like, you're in pain sometimes. But sleep is the hardest part for sure. Why? What's the hardest part for you?
Oh,
don't say sleep.
Oh, no, it's not sleep. Hardest part for me, I think mine was more of a mental struggle. I think I hit a point where it was a case of, you suddenly realize this is it forever. Like you kind of go along with it, and I'm doing my injections and I'm watching what I eat, and you're doing all your calculations every day, aren't you? And I think the hardest bit for me was that day I woke up and thought, God, I'm not doing this until I get better. Like this is life now. Yeah,
this is not going to stop.
So I think that was probably the biggest.
It definitely weighs on your mental state, that's for sure. I have PTSD and major depression from prior to diabetes, from as a childhood and in the military. And then stacking diabetes on top of that just makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Hey, but God doesn't give you anything you can't handle, so we got
it
this,
for a
right?
reason.
We got this. It makes us tough,
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It's character building, apparently.
It's humbled me. It definitely humbled me.
You definitely appreciate things, like little things that you wouldn't necessarily if your health was spot on.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. How are you with needles and stuff before you found out you're diabetic?
Oh, luckily they never bothered me, luckily.
Yeah. Like, you got tattoos too.
Yeah, I've got tattoos. I know it's different, but I can remember being in the hospital and I was in there like a week.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, until you're injecting, doing all your injections yourself, you can't go home. And I literally just picked it up and did it because I was like, I just want to go home. Get me home. Yeah. So no, needles. I think people who aren't diabetic see the injections as a big issue, or the pump is a big issue. And that's probably the easy part, I think. Like it's all the calculations and like you said, like the mental side of it.
Some people just don't get it. I wish you could, like, without giving somebody diabetes, be like, just give it to them for a day or something. You take it for a day and you see what I got to do with every day. And
they'd have to, this sounds really mean, but they'd have to have a hypo in that day as well.
Yeah. Oh, give them some lows, give them some lows, shake it up for them a little bit, because it's a tough disease. It really is. It weighs on your mental conscious, your just everything. It just hits so many different parts. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you hit a button?
It was my alarm.
So what do you know now that you wish maybe you'd known in like your first year of living with diabetes?
I guess I want to say okay, so when I first found out I had diabetes, I tried, I definitely changed my world, but I wish I would have dedicated more to it then when I first found out than I am now, because it only gets worse. Like, not to say it's gonna get like worse for everybody, but it's not gonna get better. It's not a thing that's ever gonna get, it's not gonna go back unless you have type 2 and you really take care of yourself. But type 1, our pancreas is a shot. So I wish I would have educated myself a little more. Granted, I think I've done pretty well. Like, when I first found out, my A1C was 13, and now it's 7.7. But I know some people have it like 6, 5, like they're out there killing it.
But 7.7 is not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but I like carbs. They're so good. Yeah, I wish I would have just known a little bit more, but I don't know.
I think that just comes with time. Like, yeah. and there's so much, I think when you're first diagnosed, there's so much information, like it's impossible to take all of that on board initially anyway. And then you're getting over the shock of even finding out you've got it. So I think that's one of those things that just comes with time. Like, you're learning every day with diabetes, aren't you? I think,
there's something different.
I've got the podcast, I've got the website, I've got my like social media groups, and people are like, oh, so you've sussed it, like your diabetes is perfect. I'm like, no, that's impossible.
It's cool to have all those platforms though, because there's so many people and so many diabetics out there in the world, and that's something I didn't know. I didn't know how many people had type 1. And I tell you what, people with type 1 diabetes, they are always willing to help another diabetic or somebody else, like educate them, anything. You need supplies, you need this, like it's a big family, like it's a big community. So I get it.
Yeah. I mean, you can scroll through social media and like learn something new every day, just a little tip someone puts up, or, something that personally works for them and they share that. So it's definitely, social media has its problems, but there's a lot of perks too.
Yeah, I agree. Because think about it, like back in the day, they didn't have any of this technology. If you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have, before computers and everything, if it was pretty much a death sentence back then. But like, if you wanted to go to talk to somebody else and communicate with them, you had to go to their house, you had to go in person, and now it's all at your fingertips. So I'm all for science, because we wouldn't have these insulin pumps that we have today, without of it. With the size of insulin pumps, used to be like a backpack.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. I would not be the cool kid in school if I had an insulin like backpack. No, that's not gonna work.
So you say you work out quite a lot. Do you
find
that that helps with your blood sugar control?
Definitely. It definitely does. Working out, taking care of your body, eating right, taking vitamins, all that stuff matters, because being a diabetic, you don't get the nutrients like you're supposed to. And diabetes definitely causes a lot of other issues, like stomach issues, GI issues. Like, I have a lot of GI issues because of it. And so like changing the way you eat is definitely gonna make your body healthier in the long run. And I know I'm not getting nothing but older, so I'm trying to live a long time. So I try to take care of myself. The gyms have been closed for a while with this COVID thing going on. But our gym and our clubhouse just opened up. So I've been there like every day for like the last like 2 weeks, just grinding like 2 hours a day.
You're meant to take a rest day, right?
Yeah, I try to. I'm so high strung. That's the thing. And like with diabetes and me having ADHD, it's like my whole life I've always been high strung. I'm always on the go. I can't sit still. So working out definitely helps wind me down some,
So how did
helps.
you cope when the gyms were closed over there? Did you struggle?
I was losing my mind because it's hard for me to work out at home. It's hard for me to have the motivation to work out at home, but I'm always doing something. Hiking with my dog. We always go somewhere. I'm always active, but and I guess I'm lucky in a sense that I have good muscle memory. I wouldn't say good genes because I have diabetes, but I'm always pretty slender. Like I've never been overweight. I've never had to worry about losing weight. Thank God, So that's a blessing. So
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
always been pretty skinny.
So looking at your Insulin Junkie hoodie, and you've got, I know you've got an awesome YouTube channel. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So I started my YouTube channel called Insulin Junkie about a little over a year ago. And I wanted to reach out to other diabetics and it's kind of like my life story, And I got a motorcycle because I love to ride. It's my passion. I love riding. And it's a little easier talking to people. Like this is my first podcast, so you're lucky. This is my first ever, okay? Most people don't see this. They see me with a helmet on, because it's a little easier to talk about things, especially what's going on in my life behind a helmet, It's kind of like having some glasses on. Like when my roommate's in here streaming, he has glasses on because people don't look at his eyes. So it gives you a little bit more confidence, but I love to ride. And I moved to Florida a year ago from Maryland, and my YouTube channel, I have 6,000 subscribers now within the last year. So I'm doing okay, but I'm gonna jump into it a little more, diabetes. I think this helps give me a little bit more confidence. And I don't have a motorcycle at the moment. It blew up. The motor blew, and I sold it. So I'm saving for another one at the moment. But I love making videos. I love editing. I love creating. I love writing. I love talking to people. I'm a people person. I can go anywhere and talk to anybody. It's kind of hard doing this in the UK. It's a little different.
Quite so personal.
Yeah, if I seen you in public, I would have no problem talking to you. That's just me. So I like to reach out to people. And I think my life story, what I've been through, foster care, group homes, just all the struggle, mental, physical, sexual abuse. I've been through all that. I try to reach out to other people because I know they've been through the similar situations, and I feel like it helps them,
Yeah, definitely.
People have said on my YouTube, they reach out in the comments and stuff, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that somebody else is brave enough to come out and talk about what they've been through because I did. Just makes me feel good,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, I was saying that social media isn't always a good thing and there can be a lot of negativity, but I was just saying to someone the other day how, I've flipped online some days and there's just so much negative, and there's days you think, oh, why do I bother? Why do I bother trying to put out this positive stuff? But then one message from someone saying, oh, what you put up today really helped me, or I can really relate to what you're saying. It just G's you on, doesn't it? And you just want to do more.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, definitely in your situation, it's awful that you've had such a tough time, but a juice.
Don't judge me. These things only have 3 grams of carbs.
Okay, we'll let you off. Having been through everything you've been through, I think it's amazing that you're kind of willing to share that with other people, and it would definitely be a big help to them.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So yeah, obviously we want all the listeners to go and subscribe to Insulin Junkie on YouTube.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any advice that you would give somebody with diabetes who's maybe newly diagnosed and kind of feeling a bit lost and not sure what to do?
I would tell them it's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And that they were given this disease because they're tough, and God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. It's everybody's life is, I guess, important to their own self, but everybody's going through something. Everybody, whether it's diabetes, cancer, you know, we all get older. I didn't find out I was diabetic until I was 26. So I was walking through life like it was okay. And then it hit me like a brick wall, you know, and it was a game changer.
Like a reminder that we're not indestructible.
Yeah. But it wakes you up some, and it's tough at times, but it's nothing you can't handle. You just gotta involve yourself with the diabetic community and other people, because if you try to isolate yourself and try to fight it on your own, it's not to say it's going to win, but it's going to be harder. So I just want to say, just stay involved with everybody. Like, you can always reach out to me. Like, if any diabetic or any person is going to come to me and say, hey, what can I do to make your diabetes better? Or what can you tell me about diabetes? Or can I help you? Or I want to learn. I'm not going to steer them away. And I don't think any person with diabetes would, you know. I think it's, we educate each other and we help each other and we grow. And yeah, you might lose a little sleep over it, but
literally in your case.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, well, that's awesome advice. Thank you for that. And thank you so much again for coming on and giving us a little insight into your life and your life with diabetes.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. Very welcome. And hopefully I'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks.
Cool.
Take care.
Thanks, Nick.
See ya.